Away and away. Hey, away we go. Episode show number 26 of the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Got a few new subscribers coming in. We appreciate it. We'll say hello to Brother Polo. I also want to say hello to Solo. Played a lot of semi-pro football in his time in the past, the Argyle Avengers. You semi-pro football people, man, love to have you around. David Martin, one of our semi-pro football insiders. And Champ Samuels as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to talk today about the stadium, about the timetable. And I hit, Barry Johnson up, one of our moderators at Big J Report Facebook group, who does a great job. He does a lot of posting and helps us with information, just like John Gaylor does. John Gaylor, a contributor and correspondent to the Teal Shirt Report podcast and the BigJReport.com website. We're brought to you by Social Realty and Capital. For your real estate needs in North Florida, go to the website, scroll the homepage, you'll find the weather information. We've got kind of a little bit of flooding at the Cobblestone Studios, the world headquarters. Man, got a deluge of rain about 9 o'clock Saturday morning, May the 10th. 60% chance of rain, but looking at the radar, the rain came in kind of from our west, and all of a sudden hit us in parts of South Georgia. So we're getting some rain. We're finally getting a good soaking rain and some heavy rain. Lightning thunderstorms also on the radar as well. Here we are with the Teal Shirt Report podcast. JC, our executive producer, we're about 2 minutes in. And I do want to talk about, this is episode show number 26. I decided to not do the A, B, C with 25. We're going right to 26, and I want to salute Antonio Johnson. AJ, I call him. Safety, number 26 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not a starter, but he's played a lot of football. This will be his third year. I believe this is his third year, and will this be Antonio Johnson's breakthrough year as a safety with the Jacksonville Jaguars? Andre Cisco has signed with another team up in New York, area. It's Antonio Johnson. This NFL training camp is huge for him and also all the other safeties that are on the roster. No doubt about it. Offensive line, I think I hit Gaylor up with a question he couldn't really answer. I mean, there's going to be competition at training camp. Offensive line, Patrick McCary, maybe he's the right guard. At left guard, Ezra, who I think just recently had a birthday, and he signed a new contract. What was it, last year? Or the year before, I believe it was last year. And contracts are funny. They can be broken. Well, or you just give up on a player. Let's take Gabe Davis. We did not mention this in the last podcast, but the Jaguars have, I believe it was officially released Gabe Davis. He had a bad year, then he got hurt. The new regime didn't want him. He wasn't one of the better moves by the old regime. Balky was being balky last year when he signed Gabe Davis, because Gabe Davis had can we call it a horrendous year? Then he got hurt on top of that. Even Josh Hines-Allen had a down year. 17 and a half sacks, down to like 8 or 9. I don't have the official numbers near me, but that's about what they are. The wide receivers, and I keep forgetting De'Ami Brown, the free agent that the Jags have signed from the Washington Commanders. He's probably slotted to be the third receiver. You got Brian Thomas Jr. at number 1, and he had over 1,200 yards with the Jaguars in his rookie season. Now he's going into year 2. We don't want to hear anything about a sophomore slump. You've heard that for years. Football, baseball, a lot of sports. The guy has a great rookie year, and then he slumps a little in the second year. Can't afford that. Nope, no ma'am, no sir. Brian Thomas Jr. is the number 1 wide receiver. Travis Hunter's probably the number 2. Trying to become another number 1B maybe, or 1A. John Gaylor said he looks good in some film and video that he's seen. I haven't seen that yet, but I will take John Gaylor's word for it. Diami Brown's probably the number 3 guy for the Jaguars. He called some long passes when he was with the Commanders last year from a pretty good rookie quarterback out of LSU that led the Commanders to the playoffs. Yeah, the Commanders were in the playoffs last year. Is the name going back to the Redskins? I keep hearing rumors of that now. And there's a big push for, boy, can you imagine the merchandising? More merchandising. But it always should have been the Redskins. Even my executive producer, JC, will tell you that. Coffee is brewing. Man, it is good. Oh, yeah, I did get a haircut. I got it on the west side, too. You ever heard that old saying, when you get mad, the west side will start coming out of you? Well, that's an old saying. Did I stop the music? No, I didn't. I'm going to have to be careful with this music. We keep it going too long. Now you can hear me a little bit better, probably. The guitar is gone. The music is gone for the moment. So we're going to talk about the stadium. Also, I wanted to make sure we did mention that Gabe Davis is gone. I'm sure he'll hook on with another team in a few days, a few weeks, whatever the protocol is. However, Balky made the free agent signing, last March of 2024. It was not one of his better moments. Now, I'm sure I'm sure it's being discussed on the yacht, where I think the rumor was Balky was serving drinks on the yacht now. And now the assistant GM may be over there too. I don't know. But they're good folks, but they just couldn't put together a winning team. The Jags, let's face it, the Jags were 4-13 last year. My gosh. Antonio Johnson, number 26, safety. I've always liked the guy. Balky did draft him in the 5th round, almost 3 years ago. I think this is his 3rd year in the league, and he was considered by some a steal. So I'm going to tell you, Balky made some good picks. Brian Thomas Jr. kind of fell in Balky's lap because I wanted a wide receiver, and thank God Balky said, hey, we're going to grab us a wide receiver out of LSU named Brian Thomas Jr., and the real scary part was Balky trades back to 23, and he's still there, Brian Thomas Jr., and they get him. So the top wide receivers, Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, Diami Brown, and, of course, Parker Washington. We're going to take a look at this kind of the stadium timetable. Gaylor tells me it's going to be Orlando in 2027. I'll take his word for it. I told Gaylor, I think it's 80-20 Orlando over Gainesville. It may be higher odds than that now. It looks like the Jags will play down there near the I-4 corridor down in Orlando. I don't know what highway that stadium's on, but they're making improvements. But you people in Central Florida, you're not stealing our team. Now, you could be fans of the team and all that, like Central Florida Jaguar and all that, but you're not stealing our team. Central Florida has a team. They're called the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? That's why I really had the problem with them playing a year in Orlando. That's one of the main reasons. It's my opinion. Antonio Johnson, safety out of Texas A&M, 5th round selection. Might have been the steal of the draft. The thing I like about Antonio and some of the DBs, Buster Brown, the 3rd round pick last year out of Florida State. It's hard for me to keep up with all the names, but the DBs that were drafted in higher rounds or later rounds, if you will, they play hard. The first rounders should take a lesson from those defensive backs. Josh Allen, you got to be on the field 17 games. You're making that kind of money? That kind of money? Trayvon Walker, hope they move him inside. He gets blocked a lot. He's had stats. 10 sacks, 10 and a half sacks, but move him inside more. Josh Allen is the edge. Even though Trayvon had more sacks than Josh Allen did last year. And sacks are funny. I mean, they come in bunches sometimes, and there's opportunities where the quarterback falls down. I'm not saying that happened, but there were things going on out there on the field. The Jaguars have some good, solid running backs. Time will tell on the draft picks because, Gladstone drafted, one or two running backs in the draft. You've already got ETN and Tank Bigsby. I think the running backs are okay. This musical chairs of offensive linemen has got to be settled in training camp. Walker Little will probably be slated and penciled to be the left tackle. Where does Milam play? Where does he start? He's a third-round pick. You've got Ezra. Ezra's probably the leading candidate to be the left guard. The center's probably is Fortner still on the roster? He could play center, but the Buccaneers, the free agent selection, I can't even think of the guy's name, but the Buccaneers backup center who started the year before, he may be the starting center. Could one of the guards play center? Some of these guys can play every position. You got Patrick McCary, maybe he's slated to play right guard. And then you got a guy that was a late first round pick in Anton Harrison. If he's right, he's healthy, he could possibly be the best offensive lineman on this team if he's healthy. Could you swing a guy like that, the left tackle, if Walker Little doesn't get it done? And there's going to be injuries too. You got a lot of guys. You got some versatile players. The offensive line has a chance. No, they didn't get a first or second rounder. They got Milam in the third round, but then again, Mr. Gaylor told me that was a steal in the third round. Our executive producer, JC, likes Wyatt Milam as well out of West Virginia, the Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year. But they got to get that offensive line right no matter who's out there playing. They got to get it right. You know why? Not just the running backs, but for the comfort, playability, the comfort level for Trevor Lawrence and when he's in the pocket. Trevor Lawrence strikes me as a player that can make all the throws if he's comfortable in the pocket. He's not pressured. He's not harassed. He's not hurried. Our defense can take a note of that. Those are some things you need to do. I want to see improvement on both sides of the ball, and I know all the coaches do too, especially the head coach, Liam Cohen. This is his baby. Liam Cohen will devise some kind of playbook. There'll be some similar plays to what he ran with Baker Mayfield, I know. But the Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence relationship. Liam Cohen, yeah, that's what it is. Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence relationship is crucial. Grant Udinski, the offensive coordinator, he's going to play a pretty good role too, just a 29-year-old offensive coordinator, but he's going to play a role. He's been like an assistant quarterbacks coach. I'm going to give these guys a benefit of the doubt, but they got to win more games than they lose over the next 2 years, over the next 4 years. Every game is important, and the coaches and the staff, they know that. Anthony Campanelli, he's got to get a lot more effort out of these defensive linemen and linebackers. What about Devin Lloyd? He's going to be back, but they're not exercising the fifth-year option as a late first-round pick on him. He'll be a free agent after 2025. So this is his contract year. He's got to come up with something. Devin Lloyd has got to bring it to the house. He's got to play so well that the Jaguars are saying at the end of 2025, man, we should have exercised the fifth-year option on this guy. That's how he's got to play. He's got to play with like his hair on fire. Devin Lloyd, linebacker with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Stadium stuff, I did hit, I think the camera may freeze up now when I move around for whatever reason. Hopefully not, but I did. My wife says it's raining in the Philippines. Okay, so that's good for the well over there. Raining here, heavy rain on Saturday morning in Jacksonville, Florida, in the Westside Riverside area of Jacksonville, Florida, here at World Headquarters, over here at the Cobblestone Studios. May 10th, Saturday morning, May 10th, now in the 10 o'clock hour. The rain started about an hour ago. In the night, early in the 9 o'clock hour, man, it started raining heavy. Then it stopped. Then it started again. There's puddles out there in the cobblestone yard. My wife says it's raining in the Philippines near the Iloilo area, out there just outside in the province of Iloilo, where my wife is taking care of her mom and dad over there, doing a great job, and I do miss my wife. I can tell you that because we're far away from each other right now. But look forward, I will see her not too far down the road, of course. My wife said, "Yeah, I can hear the thunder." She's not hearing the thunder from North Florida though, but she's hearing some thunder out there near Iloilo, I believe. She's saying it might rain soon there. Oh, now the next message was, it is raining here now. Got rain in the Philippines, got rain in North Florida. And then my good friend Barry Johnson, I hit Barry up. I just could not find the timetable. I know about what it is, and we talked about it on the last podcast. The Stadium of the Future and the timetable. I wanted to talk about that. Wide receivers again. Wait a second now. Oh, John Gaylor hit me up with his potential offensive line projections. Okay, because it's changing. John Gaylor had what he thought the offensive line would be before the draft and now after the draft, too. We'll take a look at that. But the timetable, Stadium of the Future, is sent to me by our good friend Barry Johnson. Barry's a moderator in our Big J Report Facebook group. Helps us out a lot with the podcast as well. Barry Johnson, let's hit this. Okay. Now it looks like JC. It looks like Gaylor's saying he's going to give the veterans an edge until training camp. Okay, training camp could change things, but I'm going to give you his rundown on the offensive line for the Jacksonville Jaguars from John Gaylor. Barry Johnson, very helpful. Got me, and I always get a lot of help on this podcast, whether it's from our executive producer, JC, even another producer, Alex Nunnery, John Gaylor, our contributor correspondent, and Barry Johnson, who's helping us a lot with the Facebook group and the podcast too now. Let's take a look at Stadium of the Future here in Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, I was wondering about this. Now, construction has officially begun, kind of on a smaller level, I think. February 2025 construction begins. Jacksonville Jaguars 2025 season. Jaguars play in Jacksonville with 60,000 seat plus capacity. So that's going to be not 100%, but nearly 100%. Jacksonville Jaguars 2026 season. Jaguars play in Jacksonville with reduced capacity, approximately 43,500 seats available. For the Jacksonville Jaguars 2026 season, Jaguars play in Jacksonville with the reduced capacity, approximately 43,500 seats available for the fans. Jaguars 2027 season, Jaguars play one season away from Jacksonville. Location to be determined. It looks like it's 80% Orlando and maybe 20% Gainesville. It's probably pushing a little higher, even more for Orlando now, based on everything I'm hearing from John Gaylor and even other folks. August of 2028, the Stadium of the Future opens here in Jacksonville, Florida. One expensive stadium. You might say $1 billion or more stadium, right? It's going to cost them how many? It's going to cost them well over $1 billion. It's going to be one of the top, probably 3 to 5 stadiums. Might be the best stadium in the world for a brief time until somebody builds another one, right? So that's a rundown. John Gaylor. By the way, Barry Johnson, thank you so much for that. John Gaylor's going to give the veterans an edge here. He's got Walker Little at left tackle to start. This is the current starting lineup as of May the 10th, 2025, according to John Gaylor. He's got left tackle Walker Little. And I'm going to tell you what, with the Jaguars drafted Travis Hunter, and it was not an offensive lineman, executive producer JC, all of a sudden I'm hearing John Gaylor say, man, I'm going to buy a Walker Little jersey, because he knows Walker Little will be the left tackle. He was signed to a new contract by Brother Balky, the former GM last year. Left guard Ezra Cleveland, who just recently had a birthday. Center Robert Hainsey. That's a guy from Tampa Bay, signed as a free agent. Robert Hainsey did not start for the Buccaneers last year, but I think he started the year before. Robert Hainsey, free agent out of Tampa Bay, the center. Now, obviously, Liam Cohen, who was the offensive coordinator with Tampa Bay, knows Hainsey's work really, really well. So he's got confidence in him, and Hainsey will know a lot about Liam Cohen's offense he likes to run. Right guard, Gaylor's got Patrick McCary, the right guard, the recent free agent from the Baltimore Ravens, who can play nearly every offensive line position and actually played in all 17 games with the Baltimore Ravens in 2024. And the story was they hated losing him, but the Jaguars signed him as a free agent. Patrick McCary, right guard, is where John Gaylor has him slated to play. And Anton Harrison, right tackle, if he's healthy, if he's right, he could be the best offensive lineman on this team. Would you agree or disagree? And now JC, our executive producer, it looks to me like Wyatt Milam, the rookie, John Gaylor does not have him starting yet. He's giving the veterans an edge until training camp. That means Wyatt Milam's got to earn one of those guard positions, because I think he's projecting as a guard. Well, I'm not frozen. I got back over here, but I had to look over some things we were talking about there. So Milam may be the guard that comes in first at right guard, left guard, or maybe he earns a starting position in NFL training camp. Is Fortner still on the roster? I'm assuming he is. I guess he's the backup center. Mitch Morse retired after just 1 year with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was very close with Doug Peterson, going all the way back to Doug Peterson's days as an assistant coach with the Kansas City Chiefs. Then Morse went to Buffalo, and then he played, I guess, the final year of his career as a free agent with the Jacksonville Jaguars when Doug Peterson was in his, apparently, of course, now we know, his final year as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we talked about Hart in a few weeks, coming to Northeast Florida for a concert. And I just thought, I don't really keep up with all the people in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I thought to myself, is Hart in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I looked it up. In fact, I left the question lingering for JC in the last podcast we did on YouTube. To ask him the question. I haven't got an answer from JC yet, but I looked it up. Apparently, Hart was inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame back in 2013. I was not sure. Great songs, Barracuda, Magic Man, Dog and Butterfly, Hart, really good catalog of music, particularly from the mid to late 70s. And then they had a kind of a renaissance a few years later. Hart did, and I think Cher did also. So Hart is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, I thought something interesting that I would share with you is this. Apparently, Hart was inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2013, right? Okay. You know, when you look things up on the internet, whether you're going through Google or however you're finding your information, they had a question there that I could look up. Now, they had a question, well, who is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? And these would be groups that people would think, well, they should be, but they're not. So JC, Hart is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But what's interesting, I'm going to talk to Max about some of these things too, but particularly some of the groups coming to concert in Jacksonville, like Rick Springfield, Wang Chung, John Waite. Hart is coming to our local Northeast Florida area as well. Some of these groups are coming to St. Augustine. Some are going to the Florida Theater. Check our concerts out at bigjreport.com in the Neighbors 2 section. You'll also find links for Mad Max's show on Wednesday night with the Mad Max Mix on Weebly.com and JC show live from the pub on Thursday nights at LakeUfallahits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. Both of those internet radio entities are there 24/7 with music and programming. And JC is a live show on Thursday nights. Mad Max is a live show the night prior to JC's show on Wednesday nights. I look forward to continuing our interview. We do interviews probably, at least once or twice a month with Mad Max. We try to do it about twice a month. Max has recovered from a recent surgery, and man, he sounds great. He's been back from the surgery, a month and a half now, and his show sounds great, Max. Check Mad Max out at madmaxmix.weebly.com. Wednesday night, 6 till 8 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock Eastern Time, and JC's show on Thursday nights at LakeUpallahits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. Salsa Realty and Capital for your real estate needs here in North Florida and surrounding areas as well. There's a link for Salsa Realty and Capital, whether you're buying or selling, whether it's home. By the way, I got a haircut yesterday, if you didn't notice. But whether you're buying or selling, got it trimmed up a little bit. My wife likes it when I cut my hair, so she believes in me cutting my hair. But whether you're buying, selling, whatever you're doing with your home, or if you want to buy another home, maybe a second home, whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate, go to Salsa Realty and Capital. Their website, there's a link for their website on our homepage at bigjreport.com. You'll find the link for Salsa Realty and Capital and for Larry Saucer right in the middle of our weather report or toward the tail end of the weather report, depending on which bit of weather information you're looking at. We got a 60% chance of rain today. We've seen heavy rain already on Saturday morning, May the 10th of 2025. Oh, so I did want to mention right in the middle of all this, I said, well, Hart went into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I didn't know that they had, but they did, and they're deserving. 2013, Hart. But on the last podcast, I thought, are they in or are they not in? I think, JC, you check your research. I believe Hart went in 2013. My gosh, that was 12 years ago. That was near the time I moved back to Jacksonville from western Georgia and that pocket of corner southeast Alabama, right? But Hart got inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I check your years and dates, JC, but I believe it was 2013. Now, when I found that Hart had made it to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, there was also a question from Google. Which groups are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that apparently you would have questions about too? Whether they might be or they aren't. Here's two groups that are not in there. Pat Benatar apparently is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Should she be in? I would say probably yes. Devo is the other one. I'm going to give Devo a thumbs down, although I like him. Break your mother's back. You know the Devo songs? Devo might be on the border. Isn't that a song by Al Stewart? I think Mad Max will play Al Stewart, Steely Dan, Leonard Skinner. Check out the madmaxmix.weebly.com on Wednesday nights. But apparently, just making a comparison, Hart got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2013. Apparently, Devo is not in, and Pat Benatar is not in. I would think Pat Benatar, I would say Pat Benatar should get in ahead of Devo, but Devo is a group that could they slip in there? JC, should Devo break your mother's back, or however that, they got some songs. One thing that surprised me about Devo, I watched one of their concerts on YouTube, and I didn't really know what to expect, because I heard some rumors that a family member of mine, a much younger brother, there were rumors going around, hey man, he's going to audition for Devo. They're looking for a guitar player. And I don't know if that audition ever came off. What was George Allen used to say, the future is now. So that didn't happen. But I'm going to tell you, JC talks a lot of smack, too, about some of the interviews I've done. I've interviewed Pete Rose. I've interviewed Phil Necro. I interviewed Ted Turner. We really need to do more interviews on this podcast, and we will. Special hello to my good friend Polo. I met up on Polo. Runs some type of burger truck now, Best Burger, I believe. He told me he would be at the Jazz Festival at Jacksonville Beach when that comes up. I believe in a few days. I'll have to check the dates on the Jacksonville Jazz Festival at Jacksonville Beach. He said he's going to have his food truck, Best Burger. I think it's called Best Burger. It's a food truck. And Mr. Polo runs it, a.k.a. Herschel, I believe, is the guy's name. But I'm going to tell you that Solo's a former semi-pro football player. Solo may still be playing with the team. He could play at any time. Great defensive back. Can play almost any position on the field. Mr. Solo, good friend of mine. And Polo now runs a Best Burger food truck, and he'll be at apparently at the Jazz Festival down at Jacksonville Beach in the not too far off future. So that's some of the shout outs I wanted to give out. We got new subscribers subscribing. We'll have more. We're doing more advertising of the podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. This is the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Audio version is doing well over 11,400 listens on the audio version. The YouTube will exceed that as time goes on, but we're going to keep the audio version going as well, and unless we make some announcement that we don't. We're going to keep it going. We're on audio. We're on video. God forbid. We're on video. Here we are. That's me with 2 fingers, right? How do those guys do it? But again, Hart is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they're going to come to our area of Northeast Florida. Hart is out there in concert now. They're also in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So when they get introduced, when they're performing at a show, whoever the MC is or whoever's doing the introduction is going to say from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, Hart. I introduced Charlie Daniels at a show in Alabama one time. I was the MC. And I remember I wasn't going to tell this story. I've told it to a few, but I was in backstage with Charlie Daniels. The Devil Went Down to Georgia and all those type songs. And sadly, Charlie passed away a few years ago. Not that many years ago, but Charlie Daniels passed away. But he was backstage and I was there. I pointed right at him. I said, hey, you're Charlie Daniels. And he said, that's right. And I got to meet the legendary Charlie Daniels, legend of the Woolly Swamp and all that. But yes, Hart is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Devo is not. And surprisingly, Pat Benatar is not. Give me your thoughts about music. North Florida Entertainment. Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp are kind of up and down. Man, the Durham Bulls. The Jumbo Shrimp were 21-7 at one time, and then they ran into the Durham Bulls on the road, and man, they took some losses. They're kind of up and down with Syracuse. These are home games. I could see today's game maybe getting rained out. There's been a lot of rain already. See what happens. Syracuse is 17-20. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp now 23-14. The Jumbo Shrimp took a loss on Friday night, May the 9th of 2025. Syracuse 4, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp nothing. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp are now 23-14 as of this Saturday morning, May the 10th of 2025. There was UFL football. I'm not a big fan of the UFL. I'm going to be honest with everything we do on here, and we'll give you our feelings. I like the XFL better. I was not really fond of the renaissance of the USFL. It's entertaining. You put it on, but I can't watch a whole game. I'm just not into it. I like the XFL. But now this UFL, there's not many fans in the stands because I guess they're playing it all at 1 or 2 stadiums or something like that. It just doesn't have, I don't know, it just doesn't have the same oomph or the same prestige as the XFL had, in my opinion. And then we waited for the XFL for 2 or 3 years. Then they came in, played for a year or two, and now it's the UFL. There was a game last night. You can check semi-pro football results on our website too, on our homepage. Scroll until you see semi-pro football. Jacksonville Sharks, I believe, are 4-2. The Columbus, Georgia Lions, I believe, are 2-3, and they're actually playing back in the National Arena League. Jacksonville Sharks in the tough IFL, but the Sharks have improved after really a rough season in the IFL. They're now 4-2. Big J Report Coffee. I'll report to you very good this morning, but we had heavy rainfall, very heavy at about 9:13 a.m. earlier this morning on Saturday morning, May the 10th, and we do have some puddles outside the cobblestone studios outside our building here at World Headquarters. Heavy rain in parts of Jacksonville, Florida at 9:06 a.m. this morning, with clouds, some heavy rain and 72 degrees in Duval. A little bit earlier this morning. Now the temperature's moving up. We're going to get up to a high around 85 degrees. Rain chance about 60%. High today around 85. Low tonight. What did we say the low tonight was? 68, I believe. High 85. You know, we are on the X.com, formerly Twitter. You can find us there. Scott Mullis at Big J Report Scott. Got 303 followers now, so we got a few hundred followers. Earlier this morning, currently some clouds, wet and 71 degrees in Jacksonville, Florida at 7:35 a.m. on Saturday morning, May the 10th of 2025. You know, it's been partly cloudy to mostly cloudy, but today on Saturday, more clouds, more rain, mostly cloudy and warm. Rain chance 60% in North Florida. Thunderstorms are possible. We've had some little bit of thunder and some heavy rain. I even heard earlier from one source that we could possibly see some hail today. High temperature 85, lows at night, lows late tonight now near 67, high in the afternoon around 85 on this Saturday, May the 10th of 2025. Winds out of the east at about 5 to 16 miles per hour. We do post our podcast on our Twitter. Well, it's now an X account. It's X.com, but it's formerly Twitter. But on our X account, we do post our podcast in there. So you can find them on the X account. Best thing to do, though, best thing to honestly do is subscribe. We're still recording here. Man, that the laptop is flying everything around everywhere. When I go from window to window to find stuff from Gaylor, Barry Johnson, whoever it is, you know, sometimes the screen will freeze up. I don't think it's frozen up today, but it could have. Thank you for being patient with us. I'm Scott with the Teal Shirt Report podcast, and thank you so much. We have a lot of people that help us here. Executive producer JC. Our executive producer, JC, also another producer, Alex Nunnery. Been a lot of good baseball. JU Dolphins baseball. I know they had an 8-game winning streak. They've had a good season. Florida Gators now starting to win more. They beat Texas in college baseball. I believe it was on last night, May the 9th, convincing win for the Florida Gators over the Texas Longhorns. That's actually an SEC game in college baseball. As you know, Texas came into the SEC in the summer of 2024 officially, so they've been in the league, you know, completely in all sports for almost a year now. You're tuned into the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 26. We're saluting Antonio Johnson, AJ as I call him, drafted in the 5th round about 3 years ago. He wears number 26, and I said at the time, and some other people said he may have been a steal for the Jaguars in the 5th round in the draft, about 3 years ago. Thank you guys for tuning into the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I am your host, Scott. And man, I appreciate you being here. Doing a little bit of that music as we go away. You guys have a great day. I'm your host, Scott. Special thanks to our executive producer, JC, another producer, Alex Nunnery, John Gaylor, our contributor and correspondent. Barry Johnson, thank you for everything you help us with the Big J Report Facebook group, and of course it kind of extends into our podcast, the Teal Shirt Report podcast. You can follow us on our website at bigjreport.com. I'm Scott, your host. This has been the Teal Shirt Report Podcast. You guys have a great day. Hey, go check a semi-pro football game out. And check our website at bigjreport.com. We do have some scores of semi-pro football games. We've got a write-up on the Jaguars' recent draft. Check us out at bigjreport.com. And non-stop 24/7 North Florida weather for North Florida and surrounding areas. You guys have a great day. Thank you for watching and listening. This has been episode show number 26. Thank you for being here. I'm Scott, your host for the Teal Shirt Report Podcast, and I